As people enter old age, the body undergoes numerous changes that are often interpreted simply as the natural course of aging. Sleep becomes lighter, memory less sharp, energy levels drop, and mood may shift towards sadness or apathy. Many accept these as inevitable. Yet modern medicine shows that not all of these changes are unavoidable. A factor often overlooked in maintaining health and vitality during the later years is sexual health, specifically the role of masturbation. Far from being a taboo or trivial act, it is a natural biological mechanism that can influence hormonal balance, protect the prostate, support brain function, improve emotional well-being, and enhance sleep. Understanding this connection provides older adults with a scientific and dignified way to care for both body and mind. Firstly, common symptoms mistaken for normal aging. In clinical practice, it is common for older adults to present with a constellation of complaints that are frequently brushed aside as just old age: difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, frequent trips to the bathroom at night, diminished recall of recent events, low energy throughout the day, and a general sense of emotional dullness are among the most frequently reported. Families and even patients themselves tend to accept these manifestations as natural consequences of aging. Yet scientific inquiry paints a more complex picture. Many of these so-called age-related problems are not simply the inevitable byproducts of passing years, but instead arise from subtle physiological imbalances that accumulate over time. One area that receives insufficient attention is sexual health. While often considered a private or even irrelevant matter in later life, its neglect can set off a chain of biological disruptions. When sexual activity ceases, endocrine function may gradually decline, levels of hormones such as testosterone and estrogen fall below thresholds required for optimal cellular repair and regulation. At the same time, neural pathways responsible for motivation, reward, and emotional stability receive less stimulation, leading to reduced neuroplasticity and diminished mental resilience. Biological rhythms that normally synchronize sleep, energy, and mood may become irregular, thereby compounding symptoms like insomnia, daytime fatigue, and impaired concentration. Furthermore, the consequences are not confined to the brain. The urinary tract, immune system, and even cardiovascular health are influenced by these shifts. For instance, poor regulation of hormones can exacerbate prostate dysfunction, which explains nighttime urination. Chronic sleep disruption weakens immune defenses, while persistent fatigue increases vulnerability to metabolic disorders. When seen from this perspective, the familiar complaints of aging are no longer benign inevitabilities, but warning signs of systemic imbalance. Recognizing them as such opens the door to meaningful interventions, rather than resigning oneself to decline. Older adults can benefit from addressing sexual health alongside nutrition, exercise, and medical care. By doing so, they are more likely to maintain clarity of thought, emotional vitality, and overall quality of life well into advanced age. Secondly, masturbation as a natural biological mechanism. From a medical perspective, masturbation in later life should not be dismissed as an act of indulgence or embarrassment. Instead, it can be understood as a natural physiological process that contributes to homeostasis across multiple systems of the body. During orgasm, the endocrine and nervous systems coordinate a surge of neurochemicals and hormones, including testosterone, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Each of these substances plays a well-documented role in human health. Testosterone supports muscle strength, bone density, and cognitive decisiveness. Dopamine regulates motivation and reward perception, helping maintain curiosity and engagement with life. Serotonin stabilizes mood and enhances memory, while oxytocin fosters relaxation and a sense of emotional connection, even in solitary contexts. Together, these releases generate a neurochemical reset that combats stress and restores balance to the body. The process also provides important protective benefits. Ejaculation serves as a cleansing mechanism for the prostate gland, reducing the risk of inflammation and lowering the likelihood of stagnation that could otherwise progress to hyperplasia or malignancy. In addition, the rhythmic contraction of pelvic floor muscles during orgasm resembles a natural form of exercise, strengthening muscles that are critical for bladder control and circulation. Neurological studies add further support, showing that individuals who remain sexually active or who practice masturbation exhibit slower rates of cognitive decline, likely due to the continued stimulation of neural circuits associated with memory and executive function. From a broader biological standpoint, masturbation functions as a self-regulatory practice. It aligns hormonal cycles, reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, promotes deeper sleep, and indirectly supports immune activity. Far from being a trivial behavior, it represents an internal feedback system that helps the aging body maintain equilibrium. In later life, when many physiological functions begin to slow down, such mechanisms become even more valuable. By understanding masturbation as a natural biological exercise rather than a taboo subject, older adults can incorporate it into their self-care routines with dignity. Viewed scientifically, it is not merely a private habit but a valid component of holistic health maintenance, preserving resilience of both mind and body well into the later decades of life. Thirdly, prostate health and ejaculation frequency. The prostate is a highly active gland throughout a man's life. Its primary role is the production of prostatic fluid, a vital component of semen, which provides nourishment and protection for sperm. This gland is not a static structure, it continually secretes fluid and requires regular emptying to maintain healthy function. When ejaculation ceases entirely for prolonged periods, the secretions may accumulate within the gland. Such stagnation fosters conditions that promote inflammation, swelling, and even infection. Over time, this internal congestion places pressure on the bladder and urinary tract, which explains why many older men who abstain completely may experience weak urinary flow, difficulty initiating urination, frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom, or the persistent sensation of incomplete bladder emptying, left untreated. These functional disturbances can progress to more severe outcomes, such as benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, or even the need for surgical intervention. From an epidemiological perspective, large-scale studies have consistently reported a protective association between regular ejaculation and prostate health. In fact, research has demonstrated that men who ejaculate approximately 21 times per month show a markedly lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those with much lower ejaculation frequency. The biological explanation for this observation is straightforward. Regular ejaculation provides a flushing mechanism that clears out potentially harmful secretions, reduces oxidative stress within the gland, and minimizes chronic inflammatory processes that could otherwise lead to cellular mutations. Thus, from a medical standpoint, ejaculation is more than a reproductive function, it represents an important aspect of urological hygiene. Whether achieved through partnered sexual activity or masturbation, this mechanism is directly linked to long-term prostate health, urinary efficiency, and the prevention of disease. Viewing this activity through the lens of preventive medicine underscores its role in supporting independence, comfort, and quality of life for aging men. Fourthly, brain function and memory decline. Orgasm represents a complex neurological event that engages multiple brain regions and biochemical systems simultaneously. During sexual climax, the brain releases a cascade of neurotransmitters, most notably dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Dopamine plays a critical role in motivation, learning, and the reinforcement of memory circuits. Serotonin contributes to mood stability, impulse control, and attention span, while oxytocin fosters emotional calmness, trust, and cognitive clarity. Together, these chemicals act as neuroprotective agents, keeping the brain active, flexible, and resilient. When such stimulation occurs regularly, the brain benefits from repeated activation of neural pathways that preserve memory retention and executive function. However, In the absence of sexual activity, the release of these neurochemicals diminishes, leaving the brain more vulnerable to mental fog, poor short-term recall, and slower information processing. Compounding the problem, testosterone levels decline more rapidly in individuals without regular sexual activity. Since testosterone is closely tied to decisiveness, alertness, and cognitive performance, its reduction accelerates the decline in mental sharpness. Clinical case studies reinforce these findings. Elderly individuals who reintroduce healthy sexual activity, including masturbation, often report measurable improvements in focus, recall, and problem-solving skills. From a neurological perspective, this is not surprising. The act functions as a form of mental exercise, stimulating circuits that might otherwise atrophy with disuse. Regular orgasms help maintain synaptic plasticity, which is critical for resisting neurodegenerative conditions such as dementia and Alzheimer's disease. In summary, masturbation in old age extends beyond physical well-being to serve as a natural tool for cognitive preservation. By supporting the release of neurotransmitters and sustaining hormonal balance, it acts as a protective factor against memory decline, helping older adults maintain confidence, clarity, and independence in their later years. Fifthly, emotional stability and depression prevention. Emotional well-being in older adults is closely tied to neurochemical balance. As the brain ages, its ability to regulate mood often declines, leaving individuals more vulnerable to sadness, irritability, and apathy. Orgasms provide a unique neurochemical event that can counteract this tendency. They stimulate the release of endorphins and oxytocin, both of which are commonly described as natural antidepressants. Endorphins are peptides that bind to opioid receptors in the brain, producing pain relief, relaxation, and feelings of pleasure. Oxytocin, often referred to as the bonding hormone, fosters trust, emotional closeness, and social connection. Together, these substances establish a biochemical foundation for resilience, allowing older adults to cope more effectively with stress, loneliness, and life transitions. When sexual activity or masturbation is absent for long periods, the brain loses this natural source of support. The result may be a gradual decline in emotional stability, presenting as persistent sadness, withdrawal from social activities, or an overall loss of interest in life's pleasures. In many cases, these symptoms resemble clinical depression. Indeed, research has shown that late-life depression can be linked to reduced production of neurotransmitters and neurohormones normally stimulated during sexual activity. In such contexts, the absence of endorphin and oxytocin release may act as a hidden but significant contributing factor. Clinical evidence highlights the protective role of maintaining some form of sexual expression. Studies have demonstrated that regular sexual activity can reduce depressive symptoms, improve self-esteem, and increase motivation for social interaction. Importantly, this mechanism is safe, natural, and non-pharmacological, offering a complementary approach to standard medical treatments for mood disorders. For older adults who may be hesitant to discuss such matters, understanding the scientific basis helps reduce stigma and emphasizes that sexual health is a legitimate component of mental health care. In summary, orgasms serve as a built-in antidepressant system that remains functional even in later life. By fostering emotional resilience, promoting relaxation, and enhancing social connectedness, masturbation can be considered a protective factor against depression. Recognizing this link allows older adults to view sexual health not as an indulgence but as a crucial aspect of psychological well-being and quality of life. Sixthly, sleep, pelvic floor strength, and circulation. Quality sleep is one of the strongest predictors of longevity and health in advanced age. Yet insomnia remains one of the most common complaints among older adults. Orgasms have been shown to promote deep, restorative sleep by influencing neuroendocrine pathways. During climax, the body releases oxytocin, prolactin, and endorphins. These compounds work together to slow heart rate, relax muscles, and quiet mental activity, producing the conditions necessary for sustained rest. At the same time, cortisol, the primary stress hormone, is suppressed. This dual effect explains why sexual release often leads to faster sleep onset and deeper sleep cycles, providing the body with the restoration it requires beyond sleep. Masturbation contributes to musculoskeletal and circulatory health through the activation of the pelvic floor muscles. These muscles contract rhythmically during orgasm, functioning much like an internal exercise routine. Over time, such contractions maintain strength and elasticity in tissues that support bladder control, bowel function, and sexual performance. In the absence of stimulation, pelvic muscles can weaken, leading to urinary incontinence, feelings of pelvic heaviness, or reduced sexual responsiveness. For older women, this may translate to vaginal dryness and discomfort, while for men it may manifest as reduced erectile function. Circulatory benefits also arise from orgasm. Increased blood flow to the pelvic region ensures that nerves, muscles, and blood vessels are adequately nourished, preventing degenerative changes. Good circulation in this area is essential not only for sexual health but for overall physical stability and confidence in daily life. Loss of such stimulation, by contrast, may accelerate vascular decline and contribute to a cycle of inactivity and reduced mobility. Taken together, these mechanisms demonstrate that masturbation offers more than psychological relief. It acts as a multifaceted intervention for sleep quality, muscle function, and circulation. When practiced regularly, it reinforces critical physiological systems that support independence and dignity in older adults. From the perspective of preventive medicine, it should be regarded as a valuable and natural strategy for sustaining physical resilience and vitality in later years. Case study: Mr. Anderson, retired engineer. Mr. Robert Anderson, a 73-year-old retired civil engineer from the United States, had spent most of his life working on large-scale infrastructure projects. After retirement, his lifestyle slowed considerably. Though physically active and free of major illnesses, he began to notice troubling changes over time. He frequently woke up during the night to urinate, struggled to recall details of recent conversations, and found it increasingly difficult to stay engaged with his favorite pastimes, such as woodworking and chess. His family attributed these changes to normal aging, but Mr. Anderson himself felt that something deeper was affecting his quality of life. During a routine checkup, his vital signs including blood pressure, cardiovascular health, and blood glucose were within normal limits. Yet his complaints about fatigue, memory lapses, and restless sleep persisted. After further discussion, his physician raised a topic that Mr. Anderson had never associated with his declining well-being: sexual health. The doctor explained that reduced sexual activity in older men can contribute to a variety of issues, including prostate congestion, hormonal imbalance, diminished cognitive stimulation, and lower emotional resilience. These biological disruptions, although subtle, may accumulate and present as the very symptoms Mr. Anderson was experiencing. Initially hesitant, Mr. Anderson agreed to explore this perspective with an open mind. He learned that masturbation, when practiced moderately, could serve as a safe and natural method to promote hormonal balance, maintain prostate health, and stimulate the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. These substances, the physician explained, are closely tied to memory retention, mood regulation, and sleep quality. Over the following months, Mr. Anderson gradually incorporated this practice into his self-care routine. The changes, though subtle at first, became more noticeable with time. His sleep improved, with fewer interruptions during the night and more refreshing rest in the morning. His concentration during chess games sharpened, and he reported fewer instances of forgetting names or misplacing objects. Perhaps most importantly, his overall mood lifted. He regained enthusiasm for social activities and reconnected with his local community woodworking group. Mr. Anderson's experience underscores a broader lesson. In later life, sexual health should not be dismissed as irrelevant or taboo. When viewed through a scientific lens, masturbation emerges as a legitimate component of holistic health care. By supporting prostate function, cognitive clarity, emotional stability, and restorative sleep, it can play a meaningful role in preserving independence and vitality. His case demonstrates that dignified, evidence-based conversations about sexual health are essential for promoting well-being in older adults. Thank you for listening until the very end. If today's story has gently stirred your heart, whether through an old memory, a present feeling, or something never spoken into words, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Intimate wisdom is where we come together to touch the hidden corners of love, affection, and sexuality, things that may seem private, yet are in fact the very core of happiness. I wish you to always love deeply, live truthfully, and find yourself in every glance, every touch, and every trembling heartbeat. Affectionate greetings.